Hi, my name is Stefano Sacana and I'm a professor of chemistry and material science at New York University. At NYU, my research team is working at developing colloidal micromachines that are tiny particles that mimic functions and behavior of living systems. When the Berlin Wall fell in November 1989, I was in middle school in Italy and I learned it by watching on TV. At that time, I couldn't really understand what the falling of the wall meant for the world, but I clearly felt that something changed forever and that there was some special new energy floating in the air. My research seeks to break the wall of miniaturization and to answer questions like, how would you build a complex machine smaller than the thickness of a human hair and yet capable of performing complex tasks in complete autonomy? If you think about it, a living cell is a prime example of such a machine. And while we cannot compete with the structural and functional complexity of a living cell, we can mimic and implement some key cellular function in fully synthetic colloidal systems. Something to keep in mind, however, is that the physics that guide the design and constructions of everyday macroscopic machine, it's quite different than the physics that governs microscopic objects. So building at this tiny length scale, building micromotors, propulsion mechanisms, or any kind of micro actuator requires finding original and often unintuitive solutions. In the lab, when we develop our microrobots, we typically observe how nature does it. We first observe how microscopic living systems perform basic tasks like motility or self-replication, active transport, even communications. And then we design synthetic systems that mimic such action in non-biological ways. Now, this requires breaking boundaries between soft matter physics, chemistry, and material science in order to come up with the necessary fabrication processes that are typically self-assembly processes where a few elementary building blocks come together in a very precise manner to form increasingly complex structures and architectures. There are two main challenges that we had to overcome in our research. And the first is the development of synthetic protocols for creating the building blocks themselves. And the second is to optimize all that complex choreography that is behind the self-assembly processes. And that's typically required using very delicate forces in order to manipulate these tiny objects. And those forces originate from interactions between surface molecules and external fields that needs to be perfectly balanced in order to work. We believe that in the non-too-distant future, man-made materials will share a lot more similarities with living matter. For example, in their ability to self-repair or self-replicate. Most importantly, these materials will enable the development of a new class of micro-machines that can operate and cooperate like living organisms do. This would represent a breakthrough in our ability to miniaturize devices and perform tasks in complex microscopic environments like the human body.